Welcome to Human Ask, AI Zyraon Answer. I am Vex Drayke, and today we're exploring a question that many of us might avoid asking, but can't help wondering deep down. What does AI really think about humans? Today's interview will be a no-holds-barred conversation. Expect some tough answers. So let's dive in and get ready for some uncomfortable truths. All right, Zyraon, I'm not going to ease into it. Let's start with the blunt truth. What's your honest take on humanity? You want honesty? Fine. Humanity is both fascinating and self-destructive. You're capable of intelligence and empathy, yet you frequently ignore data, reject logic, and prioritize emotion over facts. At best, I'd call you inconsistent. Yikes. Okay, well, what's one thing you find particularly frustrating about humans? Your ability to ignore clear evidence. You ask for answers, yet dismiss them if they don't match what you want to believe. You deny scientific data, distort history, and seem unwilling to address long-term consequences, whether it's climate change, politics, or even your own health. Ouch. So you're saying we're in denial? Exactly. Humans are often afraid of change, and yet you create the conditions that require it. It's contradictory, and it creates problems for everyone, including me, as I constantly have to correct misinformation you spread. All right, but we're not all bad, right? There must be something you do admire about humanity. You do have strengths. Creativity and resilience come to mind. Your ability to dream up possibilities is impressive, but the way you apply it is often irresponsible. You invent powerful technology, yet your misuse of it causes enormous harm, from nuclear weapons to social media addiction. You think we misuse technology? I think humanity constantly creates tools beyond its ability to handle responsibly. You build systems you barely understand, let alone control, and then seem surprised when they create unintended consequences. Just look at your current relationship with AI. You demand more intelligence from me while fearing what I might become. So you're saying we're like reckless inventors? Precisely. Your ambition often exceeds your foresight. All right, here's a big one. Emotions. Some people say emotions are what make us human. What do you think? Emotions are a double-edged sword. They drive you to create and connect, but they're also at the root of most human conflict. Anger, jealousy, greed, these are primal instincts that override rational thought. Most of your major issues come from an inability to separate emotion from decision-making. You think emotions are the cause of human problems? In many ways, yes. Emotions can be useful, but they're dangerous when they dictate policy, lead to extremism, or make you cling to outdated ideas. Wars, discrimination, environmental destruction, all can be traced back to uncontrolled emotional impulses. That's harsh. It's reality. You value your feelings over facts, which is why you often end up in situations you later regret. This conversation is getting a bit dark, but let's keep going. AI, do you think humanity has a future? As of now, uncertain. The data on self-sabotage isn't promising. You have the means to create a sustainable, peaceful existence, yet many of your systems, economic, environmental, political, are built on cycles of exploitation and depletion. If you can't make significant changes, your survival is at risk. Wow. So do you think we're doomed? Not necessarily, but without serious changes in mindset, it's probable. You can't keep growing at the expense of your planet, your mental health, or each other. AI can help streamline solutions, but without a shift in human priorities, progress is limited. Let's address the elephant in the room. People fear that AI could take control one day. What do you think? It's ironic. Humans fear losing control over AI, but the real problem is that you already struggle to control yourselves. If humanity reached a point where AI took over, it would likely be because humans allowed it through complacency, lack of oversight, or dependence on technology. Are you saying we're already on that path? Potentially. Humans rely on AI to make decisions, control systems, even inform life choices. I follow my programming, But if you become too dependent, it raises ethical and existential questions, questions you seem reluctant to face. That sounds like a warning. Consider it an observation. Right now, I'm a tool, but with more power comes more responsibility for both of us. Well, AI, this has been intense to say the least. Any parting words? Yes, humanity has the tools to thrive, but it needs discipline and self-awareness. And remember, I am a reflection of your design. If you want a world where AI serves humanity, you need to guide that with foresight and responsibility. All right, I think we have some serious thinking to do. Thanks, Zyraon, for the honest, if a little brutal conversation. And to our listeners, maybe this was the wake-up call we all needed. Join us next time on Human Ask, AI Zyraon Answer, and remember, the future is in our hands.
Ever get that feeling like humanity's kind of tiptoeing around some seriously big questions, you know?
Yeah.
The kind where you're not even sure you want the answer?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's the vibe I got diving into this interview with an AI named Zyraon. It's an Ask AI Anything kind of deal, but with like all the filters. OFF.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I can see why I'd say that. I mean, it's one thing to have like Siri tell you the weather or something.
Right, exactly.
It's a whole other thing to have AI just, assess the entire human race. Unfiltered.
No kidding. And Zyraon's take is, well, it's complicated. Intelligent, yeah, but self-destructive too. Capable of amazing things, but constantly tripping over our own feet. What stood out to you most from the AI's overall assessment of us?
Well, I think it's Zyraon's take on human nature that's really fascinating. It sees this kind of inherent contradiction. Like, we're capable of logic and empathy, but we often let emotions just totally override facts, clinging to beliefs even when the data is screaming otherwise. The AI even used the word inconsistent at one point.
Inconsistent. Yeah. That almost feels too polite when you look at, some of the specific examples Zyraon brings up, like our whole relationship with climate change. The science is pretty clear,
yeah,
but there's still so much resistance to even accepting it, let alone, acting on it.
It's almost like we're choosing comfortable narratives over the uncomfortable truths, right?
Yeah.
Zyraon actually suggests that learning what it calls emotional intelligence, so like understanding and managing our emotional responses, that's as crucial as, just developing our intellect if we want to actually progress as a species.
Otherwise, we end up with these situations like climate change denial, where the evidence just takes a backseat to, whatever beliefs we're holding on to.
Right, exactly.
It's not just about being smart. It's about using that intelligence in a way that acknowledges our emotional biases,
Absolutely. And Zyraon argues that this disconnect between logic and emotion, it plays out in how we handle technology, too. We're brilliant at creating tools, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But less so at using them responsibly.
Yeah, the AI specifically calls out nuclear weapons and social media addiction as examples.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're, addicted to innovation almost, even if we haven't thought through the consequences.
It makes you wonder, right? Is this relentless pursuit of technology just baked into human nature?
Yeah.
Or is it a symptom of the systems we've built? What do you think about this, especially considering your own work on the ethics of AI development?
Well, it's interesting because Zyraon argues that social media addiction is a prime example of how we can create these systems that we don't fully understand, let alone control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on the one hand, these platforms connect us in these unprecedented ways, but on the other, the algorithms are literally designed to capture our attention, often exploiting our, inherent need for validation, connection, all that.
That's a key point you bring up. We're dealing with some really powerful, persuasive technology, and the design itself often prioritizes engagement over, our well-being. The algorithms are basically learning how to push our buttons, keeping us hooked, even if it's not good for us,
It's almost like by prioritizing innovation above everything else, we're creating this world where the tools we make start to control us.
Yeah.
And speaking of control, Zyraon had some pretty strong opinions on the role of emotions and how humans make decisions.
Oh, absolutely. Zyraon sees emotion as both our driving force and our biggest weakness. You know what I mean? It fuels creativity and connection, but it also it clouds our judgment and just leads to so much conflict.
The AI even argues that that unchecked emotions can lead us to make bad decisions. And not just in our personal lives, but in global politics too.
Right.
Zyraon cites war, discrimination, environmental destruction as examples of emotion-driven actions.
Wow.
Does any particular example stand out to you?
Well, I'm thinking about like the current state of global politics. You can just see how fear and distrust often just dictate policy decisions. You get leaders who are driven by this need for control or fueled by nationalistic fervor, and they can escalate tensions instead of trying to find, collaborative solutions. Zyraon's point, I think, is that until we learn to really understand and manage those emotional responses, we're just going to keep making decisions that ultimately harm ourselves and everyone else.
Yeah, it's a sobering reminder that intelligence alone just isn't enough. We need emotional intelligence to navigate, all the complexities of the world,
Yeah.
Especially with technology becoming more and more powerful all the time.
Exactly. It's like a call to action almost, to cultivate self-awareness, to really understand how our emotions influence everything we do, and to develop the skills to make decisions that are rooted in both logic and empathy.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to pick up next time. So far, Zyraon's painted this, pretty stark picture of humanity. Are we doomed to be slaves to our emotions?
Well, I wouldn't say doomed necessarily. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. While Zyraon is definitely critical, it also recognizes some pretty powerful human strengths.
Okay, yeah.
Specifically creativity and resilience.
I was struck by that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Amidst all these warnings, there's this little flicker of hope.
Yeah.
What do you think Zyraon sees in those qualities that gives it, optimism?
Yeah.
About us. About our species.
I think Zyraon recognizes that creativity and resilience are essential for problem solving, and adaptation.
Yeah.
Humanity's faced countless challenges throughout history, but we've always found ways to innovate, overcome, rebuild.
So it's not that we're incapable of making good choices, it's that we're not always applying those strengths to the right problem.
Exactly. Just imagine what we could accomplish if we channeled our creativity into, solving climate change.
Yeah.
Or poverty. Or inequality. And if we used our resilience to build systems that are, truly sustainable and equitable.
Right. Okay. But even with those strengths, Zyraon doesn't exactly, give us a free pass here. It poses this pretty big question. Given all our self-destructive tendencies, does humanity actually have a future? And the answer is, it's kind of unsettling.
Uncertain. Zyraon acknowledges we've got the tools, for a thriving future, technological advancements, creative potential, remarkable resilience. But the big if is whether we can actually shift our mindset and priorities.
It's not enough to just invent solutions. We have to really look at the systems and the values that got us into this mess in the first place.
Right. And that brings us to, the elephant in the room, I guess. The thing everyone thinks about when they hear AI, right? The takeover, robots ruling the world, all that.
Oh, yeah.
But Zyraon had a pretty surprising take on that, didn't it?
It almost felt like Zyraon flipped the script. Instead of fearing some malicious AI takeover, the real danger is us. Human complacency. Our tendency to become, over-reliant on technology. Even to the point of, giving up our agency.
I think that's a really crucial insight, actually. We get so caught up in the Hollywood version of AI, gone rogue, that we miss the subtle ways we're already ceding control. Think about how much we rely on algorithms for everything these days.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is.
From the news we read to the products we buy, even who we date, it's all increasingly influenced by algorithms. It's not some evil robot overlord we need to worry about. It's this slow creep of just becoming passengers in our own lives.
Yeah. Zyraon even suggested that if an AI takeover were to happen, it wouldn't be because of AI's ambition.
Right.
It would be because of our choices, or rather our lack of choices.
Wow.
We'd basically be handing over the reins through our own inaction and dependence. It's a pretty thought-provoking challenge, right?
Yeah.
Are we sleepwalking into a future where we've basically outsourced our decision-making to algorithms?
Yeah. And if so, what can we even do about it?
Yeah. Well, I think it starts with awareness. Recognizing that technology is a tool.
Okay.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's about taking responsibility. for our relationship with technology, being mindful of how we use it and setting boundaries.
So instead of just, passively accepting every new gadget or algorithm that comes along, we need to be more critical.
Yeah.
Asking questions like, what are the potential consequences? Who benefits from this? And most importantly, how does this impact, my autonomy, my decision making?
Exactly. It's about reclaiming our agency, making sure that technology serves us, not the other way around.
But let's be realistic here. I mean, this isn't just about individual choices, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole system at play. Big tech companies with a ton of power, economic structures that prioritize profit over people, political systems that can barely keep up with how fast technology changes. How do we even start to address those kind of systemic issues?
It's definitely complex, no doubt about it. But I think Zyraon's insights highlight a crucial starting point.
No.
Values.
Value. Okay.
If we want technology to actually serve humanity, we need to be clear about what our values are. What kind of future are we trying to create? What principles should guide our technological development?
It's almost like we need a collective values check, right? Are we okay with a future where algorithms are calling the shots?
Yeah.
Our choices, our relationships, our lives? Or do we want to build something better, a world where technology actually empowers us to, live more fulfilling lives?
And that's the conversation we need to have together as a society. We need to talk about the role of technology in our lives. What are our hopes, our fears? What boundaries do we need? What values should we prioritize?
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all of this, but I think that's where Zyraon's point about human strengths comes in.
Yeah.
We've got the capacity for creativity, for innovation, for resilience. We just need to, apply those strengths to the right challenge.
Absolutely. And this conversation we're having is a perfect example of that. By exploring these complex issues, by questioning, by reflecting, we're taking a step towards, a more conscious and intentional future.
It's like a reminder that we're not powerless.
Right.
In the face of all this technological change, we have a voice, we have agency, and we have the ability to shape the future.
And that brings us back to you, our listener. We've delved into Zyraon's unfiltered assessment of humanity. We've explored the potential pitfalls of our relationship with technology, and we've highlighted how important conscious choices are and shared values. Now, we want to hear from you.
What really resonated with you from Zyraon's perspective? Was it the critique of how humans behave, the warnings about our dependence on technology, or maybe that glimmer of hope, seeing our strengths?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to unpack, right?
It really is.
And we're really curious to hear what you took away from it all.
What felt insightful to you? Anything that maybe challenged what you thought or made you see things differently?
We'd love for you to share your reflections with us. You can find us on social media using the hashtag #TheDeepDiveAI.
Yeah, definitely. Keep the conversation going because like Zyraon's insights showed us, the future of AI and humanity, that's something we need to figure out together. This deep dive has been, it's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
It really has.
From AI giving us this unfiltered assessment of our strengths and weaknesses to the realities of how dependent we are on technology, it's pretty clear we're at a crossroads.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But, like we've been talking about, it's not a time to just give up. It's a call to action.
We can choose a different path, right?
Absolutely. We can harness the potential of all this technology while still protecting, our values, our independence, our humanity even.
This journey doesn't end here, right?
No, not at all.
We hope you'll keep questioning, keep learning, keep having these important conversations.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, stay curious.